In the summer of 2018, Naomi Osaka was at the top of the world. She had just beaten her idol and tennis legend, Serena Williams, to win her first Grand Slam title. But just a few years down the line, she was right at the bottom of the same tennis world she had once conquered. It sucks to fall from grace, and it sucks even more when you realize it could have been avoided. For Naomi, it was a mixture of several factors: her pregnancy, the never-ending brushes with the media, and, of course, the principal fact that she wasn't on that court dropping bangers like she used to. Contrary to some conspiracy theories that true Naomi fans have pushed, Naomi didn't fall from heaven with a truckload of talent. I mean, we can understand why anyone would think that, but her story really began in Japan in 1997, when she was born to a Haitian-American father, Leonard Francois, and a Japanese mother, Tamaki Osaka. Naomi didn't really look like the other Japanese kids, and just 3 years later, her entire family, including her older sister, moved to Long Island in New York City, where her father eventually introduced her to tennis. This was where her father decided to unveil a master plan he had devised several years before. Seeing that he had two beautiful and strong daughters, he thought about how best he could introduce them to the sport he loved so much. And guess who inspired this thought? It was none other than Richard Williams, the father of Venus and Serena Williams. Naomi's father probably thought to himself, if Williams could turn two of his girls into the best players the world has ever seen, what exactly is stopping me from following the same blueprint? And so he did. As soon as the girls settled in the United States, the plan was set in motion. Of course, just like Williams had done, Leonard began by giving his daughters tennis lessons by himself, even though he had no prior tennis experience. By the time Naomi was 9, she was practicing so much that she was on the court all day and had to be homeschooled every night. With that sort of dedication, it was only a matter of time before the tennis player bloomed into a star. And that story, the making of a star, began to take shape in 2014, when Naomi beat a former US Open champion, Samantha Stosur, despite it being her first appearance in a major competition. And guess how old she was when she did this? She was just 16. Can you believe that? At that young age, Naomi was already creating a mark in the tennis scene. 2 years later, Naomi would make it to the WTA final in Tokyo, the 2016 Pan-Pacific Open, for the first time. And this was the big break that she needed to get everyone's eyes on her, because even though she lost that game, she broke into the top 50 of the WTA rankings. Now, that was a big deal for several reasons, but some skeptics still weren't willing to see the talent. So, Naomi knew what she had to do. She either had to win a major WTA title or beat a world-renowned player so well that no one would have the guts to doubt her talent. By 2018, a 20-year-old Naomi won the Indian Wells Open, her first WTA title. But she wasn't done. Later that same year, she got on the court with Serena Williams in the US Open final and won, a feat that I consider magical to this day. This immediately made her the first Japanese player to win such a title, and her father must have patted himself on the back, proud to finally see his master plan become a reality. The only way from here is up, right? Well, only for a short while. The next year, Naomi, now known for her baseline play and shots that flew just as fast as a bullet, won the Australian Open in a dramatic fashion and ended up being the #1 player in the world. This was a feat that no other Asian singles player had done before. And you couldn't blame us for thinking Naomi was going to break all the records previously set by the Williams sisters. But right after this triumphant move to the top, Naomi began appearing in the news for all the wrong reasons. For starters, it was parting ways with her coach, Sasha Bayin, the same guy who had taken her from number 68 on the ranking boards to the best tennis player in the world. In regards as to why, Naomi didn't exactly say what went down, but it was something along the lines of her refusing to put her success over her happiness. We can understand that, Naomi. I mean, what's the point of reaching the summit of success if you won't be happy enough to enjoy the experience? Well, even though Naomi had good reasons to sever ties with her coach, the aftermath didn't turn out so well. Naomi began suffering from incessant injuries, early round exits, poor performances, and even some bad brushes with the press. And as you can perhaps already guess, Naomi lost the top spot to Ashley Berry, who had been waiting around in the shadows for a slip-up. While Naomi was able to regain her top spot again, it wasn't long before she dropped back down, especially after she failed to defend her US Open title. Maybe some of you remember the biblical story of the prodigal son who retraced his steps back home after he discovered that being back home was the only way he could become himself again. Well, that was exactly what Naomi did. She brought back her dad as her coach, and it didn't take long before she found her winning streak again. A series of brilliant performances rolled on in again, and she was able to win another US Open title in 2020. But unfortunately, she just couldn't break free from the injuries, and she eventually missed out on the French Open. However, in 2021, exactly 1 year later, Naomi was back on her winning streak, winning the Australian Open and beating Serena Williams in the semi-finals. This was a crazy record for many reasons, but let's talk about the most important one. Naomi had won all 4 major titles, and only Roger Federer and Monica Seles had ever done that before. But remember when I said that things didn't quite go all the way up for Naomi? Well, it took a turn for the worse in 2021, during the French Open, when the star decided that she wasn't going to attend the compulsory media conferences. Tennis stars make a lot of jokes, so I'm pretty sure the organizers considered this as one. But when Naomi declined to speak with the media after her first match, the organizers knew things had gone south. So they hit Naomi with a $15,000 fine and threatened to disqualify her from the competition. But she went ahead and made it easier for them because a few days before her next match, Naomi announced that she was withdrawing from the tournament due to her mental health struggles. Right after missing a number of tournaments amidst her struggles, Naomi made the announcement to play for Japan, since she's got dual citizenship. And somehow, this decision managed to piss several people off. Some suggested that she only picked Japan because of the numerous sponsorship deals she could get from this, while some said she was being too ungrateful for what the United States had done for her career. Unfortunately, the terrible terrain of the internet also decided to chip in a few words, and this began the racial attacks against the tennis star, with many drawing references to her biracial background. For someone who already announced that she was dealing with intense mental health issues, this must have been the nail in the coffin. She tried again in a super lengthy post to explain herself, reminding the world of her struggles and pleaded that we try to see things from her angle. This actually seemed to work, because Naomi returned back to the court for the Cincinnati Open, but she crashed out almost as soon as the competition began and would also go ahead and fail to defend her US Open title. In fact, at some point during the competition, Naomi allowed her anger to get the better side of her as she smashed her racket and hit a ball so hard that it flew into the audience. Right after crashing out, Naomi, in tears, announced that she had to go on another break, which everyone felt like she needed at the time. She came back in 2022 full of radiant smiles and a positive energy, and it even seemed like she was taking her losses on the chin. But all the positivity disappeared when a heckler during the Indian Wells Open repeatedly heckled her to the point where she had to address the crowd in tears. Coupled with injuries, poor performances, and even abdominal pain, Naomi was on the verge of a breakdown. But there was one more thing waiting around the corner for her: the media. If success had to put up a billboard advertising itself, Naomi Osaka could be the face on it. But with success comes a great deal of exposure to the media, who sort of feel like they have a right to know every detail about your life. In fact, in one interview in 2021, a reporter questioned Naomi till she began crying and had to walk out. Many agreed that this reporter was nothing but a bully, who probably picked on harmless kids while in high school. But this didn't stop other reporters from obsessively probing her life. Also, Naomi once mentioned that everything had happened too fast, and she had no idea how to manage the stardom that she had found. It didn't come as a surprise when she began to turn down interviews and media conferences, but trust the media to find a way to turn this around. Even when Naomi wasn't speaking, the media still found a way to get her in trouble, with one Brett Fair, a former American football quarterback, saying that stars like Naomi had to talk to the media because of the sort of money that she makes. And if she didn't want to do that, then she had to pay fines. Sounds like a pretty bad deal to me. Anyway, Naomi Osaka took another break in early 2023 when she announced that she was expecting a baby with her boyfriend Cordae, an American rapper. This was finally a breath of fresh air, as she stated that her time away had given her an opportunity to focus on the things that really matter, finding true love, and eventually return back to the game in 2024. Now, this next piece of information might sound crazy, but some fans were still critical of the fact that Naomi decided to start a family and walk away from a sport that had made her into a star. Naomi's struggles with self-sabotage, constant coach changes, the media, and her mental health has no doubt played a strong role in her downfall. For someone who's been at the #1 spot, falling to number 314 in the world's ranking is definitely a real tragic fall. But we hope that her return in 2024 will change all of that. And there you have it. I don't know about you, but Naomi has seen her fair share of struggles, and most of these struggles weren't even her fault to begin with. Or do you think she messed up at some point? Let us know down in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to learn more interesting things about your favorite tennis players.